Hey guys, welcome back to the Fertility Confidence Podcast. Happy 2023. I am so excited to get this year started on the podcast. We have so many fun ideas, some giveaways planned. So stay tuned for all the fun announcements there. We have our first live event today, I guess. This comes out on Tuesday, so January 10th. So if you're watching this before 1 p.m., come on over and join us for the 5 strategies to build fertility confidence. But if you are missing that, do not stress, because our next event starts on January 23rd, and it is our Fertility Confidence Boot Camp, which is our largest and most fun and epic event that FCM runs all year round. So if you have not participated in a boot camp with us and you are hoping that a baby is in your future for this year, I highly recommend coming in and checking it out. We pull the curtains back on our signature methodology and help you start to build out your personal fertility care plan for free, 5 days with me, with my team, with an amazing community of fertility warriors, and the chance to win $450 worth of prizes. It is an amazing opportunity. So I'm going to pop the link to register in the show notes, kelseyDuncan.com/bootcamp-registration. I hope it'll be in the show notes if that doesn't work. But today, we're not just going to talk about boot camp. We're actually going to do 5 tips to get off on the right foot for 2023. So I sat over the Christmas holidays and I said, what are, 5 things that someone could be doing right now to just really help them hit the ground running in 2023. So I want to break down the 5 things that I came up with that I feel are important so that you can walk away from this episode with action items. All 5 of them might resonate with you. 1, 2, 3 might resonate with you. Take what you need to hear today and just leave the rest that doesn't feel supportive or right for you, or maybe too simple, maybe too complex. This is a skill we try to really teach our clients inside Fertility Confidence Method. Is not everything we say or everything that I say is going to resonate with you or meet you where you are at. And that's okay. We have to learn what is right for me and what's not. And we do so by really being able to tune in with our body, with our gut, and trusting ourselves a little bit more. And I think this is a skill we all need, myself included. I'm probably just speaking to myself right now, but we all need to hone in, I think, on this year of really leaning back into trusting ourselves. So tip 1 for 2023 is to process and let go of all of the time you spent trying to conceive in 2022. Okay? We've talked about this a couple of times on the podcast over the last month, that the changing over of the calendar can feel very heavy, very difficult, and leave last year feeling like a failure, right? And we don't want to enter this year with that mentality, with that energy. And much like how we don't really get a lot of time to process the end of a cycle, because cycle day 1 is both the beginning and the end of a cycle. It's kind of similar at the end of the year, right? We have a lot of big emotions around the end of the year. And we have a lot of big emotions around the end of the year, even when we're not trying to conceive sometimes, right? Like myself, for example, this year coming into 2023, this is a big year for my family. I'm getting married in 9 months, which seems crazy to say. My youngest is going to start kindergarten. That's a big transition. We're still, 1 year in of living in this new community, in this house. I have big lofty goals for the business and growth that I'd like to see happen. But I also want to make sure that my top priority this year is myself. And it wasn't last year, right? So there always comes this bit of grieving the year before that didn't quite maybe go the way that you want it to go. And that is very true when we're talking about a fertility experience as well. Is a lot of you who are listening or watching who aren't pregnant right now probably wanted to be by the end of the year, right? So I want you to take some time, and whatever that looks like for you, to process that grief, because we have enough grief. We have enough fertility grief to deal with every single cycle. That baggage adds up, right? We do not need to ruminate in that year-end grief as well. So what does that look like for you? How do you process your emotions? Do you need to take some time and separate yourself from your fertility journey maybe? Do you need to reach out for support? Do you need to, find some hobbies and some cup and joy-filling activities? What do you need to do? Is it the year that you start therapy? Maybe. It's probably a good time if you haven't already started, right? We have an episode a few back with Amira Posner, who's a therapist, a fertility-focused therapist in Toronto, and it's a great episode. So if you haven't caught that one, I highly recommend hooking back a few and catching up with that one, okay? I don't want us to be attached to the calendar. I want us to process the end of the year and move into 2023 with a renewed sense of hope. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 comes from the nutrition bucket, and it's to ramp up your fiber. My family and I have been talking a lot about fiber. Maybe that's why this one snuck in here, but we find with our clients, a lot of women aren't actually eating enough fiber. And fiber is so important for a wide variety of reasons, but when we're looking at fertility from a whole body health perspective, which is what we do at Fertility Confidence Method, your gut health matters. Huge. And a lot of times I find women come in and they're like, yada, 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 trying to get pregnant. Here's everything you need to know about my cycles. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's your poop like? Because we talk about poop all the time. And they're like, oh, I poop like twice a week. But I've been like that my whole life. Guys, being like something for your whole life is not an excuse for it to be normal. Just because you haven't pooped ever, well, I mean, you've probably pooped some, but just because you don't poop often and you've always been like that, that doesn't mean it's okay. We should be having a bowel movement every day. Some of us should probably be having a bowel movement multiple times a day. A soft, formed, easy to pass bowel movement. So though we're maybe focusing in the lens of, are you constipated? If you're constipated, we need to ramp up that fiber. We need to figure out what's going on in your gut. When we're constipated, it allows more toxins, re-exposure to recirculate up through the system, hormones to recirculate up through the system. We are impacting multiple processes through our body by not excreting our waste, by not pooping. You might not think that has anything to do with the fact that you've been trying for 9 months and you're still not pregnant. But for us, that's potentially a red flag of something deeper going on that might lead us to the root cause of why you're not getting pregnant. So the simplistic way for us to dig into this is, first and foremost, let's just ramp up your fiber. And bonus tip, 2B is, let's also make sure you're hydrated. Okay? Water, fiber, movement. If you're someone who doesn't poop often, start with those 3 things. Let's see what happens. If nothing changes, we probably need to dig deeper into, what is the gut microbiota looking like? Are we dealing with, something more intense than just you're dehydrated and you don't get enough fiber? Because that's the easiest way to look at it. If you are someone that's like, I am not constipated, I have the complete opposite problem, fiber is still important because fiber can bulk the stool. Meaning if it is loose and liquidy, you might still need fiber to help actually bulk that up. You also might need to dig a little bit deeper into your gut health and how that correlates and links to your fertility journey. Fiber helps you have better bowel movements, eliminate your toxins, your waste, your metabolized hormones more efficiently. It helps balance your hormones. It decreases inflammation. Your gut health is so important. It's something in 2023 that inside Fertility Confidence Method, we're actually going to be a little bit more targeted and focused on. Meaning I'm going to actually add gut protocols and modules and things for our clients who need that deeper level support there, because it's so important. It gets a little tricky, I will admit, when we're trying to treat gut stuff and get pregnant at the same time, because we don't want to use treatments that aren't safe in pregnancy, but we still need to pay attention. We can't just ignore it. Tip number 3 is to actually nail down your ovulation. Okay? We know from the research that our best statistical chance to get pregnant is if we have sex 2 days before you ovulate. And if you haven't heard me say that before, you might be like, what? What do you mean? I just pee on an OPK, and when it tells me it's positive, I'm assuming I'm ovulating and I'm having sex that day. Now, we're going to rewind a second, and I'm not going to go into a whole full shebang of like, how do you track your cycle and why we don't particularly love OPKs. You can definitely check out other episodes on the podcast to get that information if this is new for you. But you need to have a better understanding of when you ovulate. If you are someone who is just using your app, especially because your app's just guessing, and if you're someone who has only used OPKs, the OPKs might be okay for you, okay? So I don't want to put out this blanket statement that you should never use them, they're always wrong, because for some people, they are pretty darn accurate. But for a lot of people, they aren't. And in fact, just this week, or was it 2 weeks ago? It might have been before Christmas. In FCM office hours, we reviewed 3 cycles where their ovulation actually happened before they got a positive OPK. Meaning we saw their temperature shift and their progesterone start to rise, meaning that they ovulated before the OPK actually looked positive enough for them. So they're not always accurate for everybody. They're not perfect. So we want to use our body to help us track, figure out ovulation, and with 2 to 3 cycles of data, we're going to have a much better idea of when that actually is, whether it's consistent or not. We can still be successful with tracking in this way, even if your ovulation shifts around a little bit, and then really figure out when is that best statistical chance, which is 2 days before ovulation, ideally. So if we're really relying on our app or we're relying on our OPKs, there's a very good window of opportunity that you might be completely missing your best statistical chance for pregnancy. And it's not that simple for everybody. But if it is that simple for you, how cool is that? Right? And it's happened with us before, where women have come in and worked with us and we're like, let's just tweak this timing a little bit here. And sure enough, in 2 cycles, they're pregnant, or their next cycle, they're pregnant. And it was just a matter of timing. I would say this is more common for our couples that come in and work with us under that 8-month mark of trying. Over that 8-month mark, we would have hoped and assumed that you would have nailed that timing at least once or twice at that point, right? So I really want you guys to nail down your ovulation. I think this is super, super important. The 4th one is to actually prioritize healthy sleep. And again, maybe this is a selfish one because I'm dealing with a bit of a bout of insomnia myself, but sleep is so important. Sleep is another thing on top of gut that we're really going to start to hammer home with our clients, because the research is so robust in how sleep impacts our cortisol, our insulin, our sex hormones, our inflammation, our sperm health, our male hormones. It's not just about you ladies, but it's about our partners, our male partners as well. We actually see in the literature men who sleep less than 7 hours a night have lower testosterone levels and poorer sperm quality. And we also see that by boosting sleep, by getting more sleep, those numbers actually change. Sleep can be a treatment for you. The male research is definitely a lot cooler, but we know the way that lack of sleep impacts the body hormonally and how that would have a trickle-down effect to fertility, particularly through cortisol, insulin, and sex hormones. So if you are someone who doesn't prioritize sleep, who's getting, 5, 6, I would argue even like 7 hours, or a lot of like broken sleep, we have to work on that. We have to figure out, first off, are you doing it to yourself? Meaning, are you staying up way too late? Are you scrolling on your phone into the wee hours of the morning? Do you know you have to get up early for work, but you still don't go to bed at the proper time? What is it? Okay. Let's work backwards in terms of bedtime. So let's say you have to get up at 6 for bed, I'd ideally want you sleeping before 11, ideally 10. If you're not getting into bed at 10 till 10, we all take a little bit, right, to like wind down and fall asleep. We need to be actually giving our body the appropriate amount of opportunity to go to sleep. I also want you to look and think about sleep hygiene. Is your room dark? Is it a good temperature? Is it tidy and clean? These are things we really want to make sure we're paying attention to this year in terms of really prioritizing good quality sleep for our hormones. We can take all the supplements in the world, but if we're not eating well, we're not sleeping well, we're not moving our body, the supplements that we're paying for really aren't going to do us a whole heck of a lot of good. So these are the things I really want you to focus on from a foundational perspective moving into the beginning of this year. Okay? The last tip number 5, is to get support. We already talked a little bit at the beginning about how that might be something that you need in 2023 to actually help move through and process 2022. What are you going to do differently this year so that you're not repeating the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results? I don't want you to continue to ride the trial and error carousel and to copy and paste a fertility plan from Google and Reddit and Facebook from friends of friends and cousins that helped them and hope that it's going to help you. I want you to get specific and targeted support, because that's what's going to actually help make the difference moving into this year. There's 3 ways that you can come in and get support from us here at Fertility Confidence Method. First, you can use one of our free resources. The podcast is one. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. You can come and join us inside Be Hormonally Confident, which is our free Facebook community. And you can download our Successful Couples Guide, the things that successful couples do before seeing the fertility clinic. It's a 23-page download. I should be charging for it. It is some juicy info for you to get started. I'm going to pop the link. It's kelseyduncan.com/success guide. Again, I think. I'm going to pop it in the show notes for you. Okay. You can also join our waitlist to come and be part of our beta launch for Fertility Activator, which is our new program that we'll be launching earlier this year. Or you can come in, book a call with us. The calls are completely free. We're going to help walk you through what your next best steps are. And if Fertility Confidence Method, coming in and working with us, is a good fit for you, we'll share the details with you on that. We don't work with everybody. We really want to make sure that we can help you. So if FCM is not a good fit for you, we're going to let you know. We're going to help you find a resource, a tool, a referral, something to help you on that next step. But if your next step is congruent with what we have to offer, and if you are ready for some high level support, FCM is here to help support you this year. And I'm so incredibly excited to get to know some of you better. It is going to be a really fun year. We are already making babies in 2023. And when I'm recording this, it's January 7th. I think I'm going to need to get a new baby board this year. I think we're going to run out of space this year. It's going to be amazing. But if anything, I want you to just take these 5 tips, feel out what do you need right now. And then the last piece of advice I can give you to make sure that you are going to start to be successful this year is to just pick one thing, get really friggin' good at it, nail it down, and then start another and another and another. We don't need to change all of our habits at the same time. I actually want you to have a bit of a low and slow approach because this is a lifestyle journey. This isn't this crash course where you are, let's just do 10 things for this cycle. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, we're on to the next. That's not how we operate. We want to get down to the root cause of what is actually going on for you. And that's where getting support and personalizing the process really is important. But at the end of the day, working on your mental health, processing the year, ramping up your fiber, looking and just getting curious with your gut health, making sure we're truly nailing down that ovulation, prioritizing your sleep. If you do just those things, you are going to take a step forward in your journey. You are. In fact, I get messages on my Instagram all the time from people that tell me, Kelsey, I listen to your podcast. I read your stuff. I do your events. I know I never actually worked with you inside FCM, but I'm pregnant and I thank you for that. So if that's all you do, amazing. But if you are ready to go deeper, we are here to support you, okay? So you can schedule that call, kelseyduncan.com, clarity-call-application, and let's just see if we're a good fit to work together. No harm if not. No obligation. We're just going to have a conversation, get to know you better, and then help to show you what you need to work on this year. And if that's all you take from the call, awesome. If you want to know about FCM, we'll share that with you, okay? I hope that these tips were a good way for you to just get the ball rolling this year. I hope to see you in boot camp, and I will see you guys next week.